Now come back to sustainable development. Sustainable development. What is sustainable development? So first we need to understand that. So you have different words which are going for sustainable development. They call it as sustainable growth, sustainable development, green growth. Okay, they call it as green growth. They call it as intergenerational equity. Intergenerational equity. Okay. So likewise, they use different terminologies in this particular aspect for sustainable development. But what it actually means, it is sustaining the ability of natural systems. That is what more important is. So the ability of the natural system should be continuing for even next generation. That is what you call it as sustaining the natural systems. To provide natural resources, ecosystem services on economic and society depend upon. Okay, so they try to use this particular thing, sustaining the natural, ability of the natural system. For having the sustainable development concept, which way back 2000 they started up, or in 1972 when they had the first idea on this, and 1990s they started having the sustainable concepts implemented. So they, in 2015 they started having a conference, and the United Nations General Assembly announced the sustainable development goals, and they intended to be achieved by next 15 years, what you call 2030. They call it as Agenda 2030, and this Agenda 2030 gives a blueprint for peace and prosperity for the people and planet now and into the future. So at present and in future. And most importantly, the motto or the pledge what they had was leave no one behind. Till now, 2030, up to 2030 or 2015, we have people evolved, we have economies evolved, we had many countries evolved in different time periods, and we had left many people without development in long term basis. But now, from 2015, no one should be left behind. So that's the idea. Leave no one behind is our pledge. And since that pledge is working out, and this is where this motto or the pledge is the one which is a key which tries to have this idea of inclusiveness at large. Okay, so leaving no one behind, because you are trying to do away with exclusion. The very idea of exclusion is done away with, and you want to have inclusiveness altogether. And that is how we started having goals. We listed around 17 goals to be achieved by every native countries in 2030. So what are these goals? So remember these goals, because whenever you write an answer, any answer in GS, in case you find that a goal is there, try to link that particular goal. Say for example, if Swachh Bharat you are writing, or Ganga action plan is there, so you can talk about life below water, you can talk about sustainable cities and communities, you can talk about clean water and sanitation. So Ganga program, Ardha Ganga program is aiming at certain things. So it's aim, and these are akin towards achieving certain goals. Goal number 6, goal number 14, goal number 11. Okay, likewise. So you can link them. That is important. So when you do that, you will get a better mark in this particular aspect. Okay, so remember that you by heart these goals, and you try to logically understand them, and you try to have a better understanding of the goals and some aspects of the goals. Okay, you need not have the basic targets remembered, but what they are going to do in each and everything, or what they try to do, or what they advise you to do, so that we need to have clear. So we have goals like no poverty, zero hunger, health, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, and clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities. So not only cities, communities should be sustainable. and responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, strong institutions, and partnerships to achieve the goal. So that is the last one. 17 is a separate one, but the 16 is directly linking to these aspects. So in that way, what they actually tell, so that is important. So that is where you need to have the aspects. What I call it as jargons, or where you can use these jargons in that sense. The first one, end poverty in all its forms. Okay, all its forms everywhere. So what are the forms? So you need to read what are the forms. We have seen in poverty, there are different types of multidimensional aspect of poverty, and everywhere. So where the poverty is taken, so which are the areas we have poverty, sectors we have poverty. Understood? This is the expansion what we can have. Then end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture. So if you want to end hunger, what you need to do? You need to have food security, improve nutrition, sustainable agriculture. So whenever you have this particular concept, try to link all these three: food security, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. Okay. Then, when you want to have healthy lives, promote well-being for all ages, at all ages. That is more important. For all, at all. Because this for all and at all is a common thing. You can remember that you can use this word appropriately in some other area also. For all, at all, right? Then comes ensure inclusive and equitable quality. Say in education, how they are defining. So in case if you are talking about national education policy and so on, how they ensure inclusiveness, how they put it equitable, how they make it qualitative, how they make it lifelong learning, how they provide opportunities and for all. Okay, so education should be inclusive, equitable, qualitative, lifelong learning, create opportunities for all. 5 qualities of education is required. Understood? When you are assessing education, when you are trying to provide the education, you try to have these 5 aspects in mind. Achieve gender equality and empower all women, all girls. Okay. Availability, sustainable management. So sustainability, water, sanitation for all. We are not mentioning about whether it is going to be vulnerable, so and so. So it's for all. So all means top to bottom, everybody. Okay. From the vulnerable till the majority of the people, I mean, the elite, everything. Then ensure access, affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern energy. How the energy should be for all? Accessible, affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern. You remember when we talked about different types of energy, it may be bioenergy, whatever it may be. You need to access this. Say, for example, when they are talking about, say, bioenergy, right? Or they are talking about shale gas, unconventional energy. Okay, so you have different types of energy, right? Conventional, unconventional, non-conventional, alternate fuels, modern or emerging fuels. So there are different categories of. So in this, if they are talking about, say, non-conventional energy sources, and you are talking about bio fuels, bioenergy kind of, what are the advantages of why it is required? So whether it is accessible, affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern. Okay, so that's the logic how you try to do it. Similarly, promote sustained, inclusive, sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, decent work. So how the work should be? A sustained job, an inclusive job, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment. So it's more important. How the employment should be there? Full and productive. So this word is important. When you use creating employment generation and so on, use these type of words: full and productive employment, decent work. Okay, and the two for all. Then coming to this, you try to address, build resilient infrastructure. You use the word resilient. This is important because when we have disaster, say for example, you have Awas Yojana. Okay. So when PAY is there, you have urban rural both. You build 1 crore homes, 2 crore homes, likewise. But whether they are resilient, more important, right? Resilient infrastructure, inclusive, sustainable industrialization, foster innovation. So how the infrastructure should be resilient, and how the industrialization should be inclusive and sustainable. How innovation should be, so it should be catering the two aspects of infrastructure and industrialization. Understood? So when you talk about industries, talk about how inclusive and sustainable they are. So that is more important, because when you write an answer, when you try to do this answer writing, these type of jargons will give you a better understanding, a better perspective in for the examiner to understand. Then inequality should be reduced among the countries. So within the country, among the countries. So usually we forget among countries. Okay. Make cities, human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, sustainable. Sustainable consumption and production patterns. Urgent. So this is gentle. Conserve sustainably, conserve and sustainably use. So first you need to conserve, and then only you need to sustainably use it. Ocean, sea, marine resource, and sustainable development. You can see protect, restore, promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably manage forest, combat desertification, halt and reverse degradation, halt biodiversity loss. So what are all the environmental problems we have in terrestrial ecosystem, in forest, desertification, land degradation, biodiversity? All these four are important. Forest, desertification, land degradation, biodiversity loss. Four important aspects they are concentrating. Essays, the questions can be in this particular areas at large. You can see since 2015, the questions can be largely in this area, right? In environment chapters or in geography kind of. Then promote peaceful, inclusive societies. So society should be peaceful and inclusive. Provide access to justice. Build effective, accountable, inclusive institutions. So at all levels, from grassroots to the top. So how institutions should be effective, accountable, inclusive. Okay. So for this, we need to have global partnership. Fine. So these are some of the words, how they use. So for every sector, there are certain perspectives they are developing. So understand that for that reason, this is important. You need to read this sustainable development in a larger way, so that you see, the idea is that you can use it anywhere appropriately. If you are capable of doing it, you can write it everywhere. Okay, so that's the most important thing what you can. So now the conclusion part, how the sustainable development and inclusive development are related to each other. So whether sustainable development bring in inclusive? Yes, it is. Because the sustainable development has the dignity component, prosperity component, justice component, partnership component, protecting the planet component, and the community component. We have this relation, the society, the environment, and the economy. When you are going to have economy, the economy should be green economy, which gives importance to agriculture, environment, and society, which needs to have inclusive growth with respect to economic growth, and a green society with respect to environment. Sometimes there will be externalities which uses ecological issues, social issues. There may be some economic issues. Okay, so without any trickle down, it can be there. There may be a greenwash, that may be complete outright rejection of the environment. But rejecting all these, your growth should be inclusive, green economic growth, ecological modernization should be there with the green society. So then only we can have a sustainable development, which inclusive development is included within when you do that. Okay. So a strong sustainable development is present. Naturally, it includes the inclusive development, what we can have. So how it is, we can see. So we saw inclusiveness should be happening in 3 sets: social inclusiveness, the developmental inclusiveness, and environmental inclusiveness. You can see that the process of inclusiveness in society or social inclusiveness can be witnessed in these SDGs: poverty alleviation, hunger alleviation, healthy life, equitable education, end inequality between the gender, water, sanitation, all these. Okay, so which we have discussed, brings in social inclusiveness. That means sustainable development goal brings in social inclusiveness, right? Understood. Similarly, ecological inclusiveness. So we have ecological aspects in SDG goals. So naturally, ecological inclusiveness comes in, because resilience to disaster, you will find in the explanation, all these will be what we have seen here is the topic of the goal. When you break the goal and you go into the no poverty, what are the targets and issues, you can find this link. Okay, so you can find these words. Okay, universal access to energy, likewise. Got it? So don't get confused. So sustainable cities, combating all these things. So ecologically, we try to do these. Okay, so when sustainable agriculture comes in, ecological inclusiveness comes in, and that is where you try to promote these aspects, zero budget, natural farming kind of, right? And similarly, you have developmental inclusiveness, what you have. Clear? So all these activities, what you need to do is that you have inclusiveness, SDG, social, ecological, developmental, right? Now I have also listed out what are the approaches you are going to have. Goals. So you have all goals listed here. What you need to do is link programs, schemes to each goal, which we have seen before, right? Say for bringing in gender equality, what we try to do. So in education, what we try to do, in national education policy, what we try to do. Okay, so urban rural interface, what we try to do. So urban interface, urban mission kind of. Okay, so try to, not all will have programs. Okay, so in certain areas you have programs, say sustainable agriculture. Separately, we have a program called climate resilient agriculture. We have sustainable development of agriculture. For that, a national mission is there, national mission on sustainable agriculture. Sustainable water management. Okay, so Jal Abhiyan, the ministry has this programs for sustainable management of water, sustainable energy. Everything we have programs. So try to link them, okay, with the SDG. In case if a question is being asked, what are the steps taken to achieve our national intended national things for SDG? You can write. In social inclusiveness, we have did this. Ecological inclusiveness, we have did this. For developmental aspect, we have did this. For all these goals, we have some schemes targeted. 1 to 17, you can have some schemes related to each other. Okay, and you will also know how India is approaching towards achieving the goals of SDG. Understood? So this is how you can understand how you move about. And finally, I also mention you something with regard to these schemes. Say, in case if they are asking you any question on, say, a particular theme, an economic theme like women empowerment or anything in essays kind of, there also you can use the SDG aspects. Any approach should be in this way. One, go for the international. Okay. Two, national. Three, regional. Four, local. Okay. So global to local. So global, international level, national, regional, local. Okay. Four segments you divide. International, you have varieties, like you have institutions. Find out any exclusive institution which is there for that particular theme. That is for what it is being asked. Say, for example, child labor. Institution which is linked to child labor, abolition. I am talking about UN institution. Okay, any UN institution. If there is no UN institution, but you have some allied institution of UN, you can have no problem. Some internationally recognized major institutions. Then you may have some summit, convention, or protocols, okay, or treaties. Anything, any of such sort, okay, what you have, you can write one. In case any conference or any kind of international projects which are there, in all these, if India is member, definitely you write it. Okay, so this is international level. Projects, funding, likewise. Okay, three things. Same way in national level, first go for the constitution provision. Okay, go for the constitutional provision. Legal provisions, that is law, statutes. Then projects, flagship program, projects, schemes, go in this particular aspect. Similarly, for regional, you go for law, these three. Okay, so law, legal, statute, projects. Okay, so any collaboration, international collaborations. You can also, in national level, you can write international collaborations and so on. Local level, same way. So what are the local participation we have? Any unique systems we try to provide, how panchayats are being used. So all these. So when you go for any essay, you can go in this approach also. In case if you are going to write an essay on this, if you are going to go for certain aspects in that particular sense, you can talk about getting these aspects. Okay, so this will help you at large in just codifying it, and even say women development, any other development, any theme with respect to it. When you have this type of approach, the four thing approach, you can easily complete information you can gather. Okay, so I have just mentioned some. In India, national and region level, you can also talk about institutes, specialized institutes which you have, the institution kind of. Okay, so that also you can include. So anything which comes in this particular way, authorities, say when you just go on, you can have many things which can come in. Okay, authorities or boards or bodies which involve in this. Okay, so any funds or schemes which you have. So all these things you can include in national and international, I mean national and regional aspects, which you can expand to the larger aspects. But anyway, so this is how you can go in explaining certain things or gathering information, you gather in this particular mode or modality, and link it with, always try to have a link with sustainable development. Anything you try to link it with sustainable development, you can get a better answer, you can get a better linkage. Okay.